If you watched my word balloon tutorial on Clip Studio Paint, then you know how to make them, which is good. Except you might be doing it wrong. We're going to look at 8 things you should know to make effective word balloons. Number 8. Hierarchy. Word balloon hierarchy is pretty important because it ensures your readers are reading everything in order. We tend to read left to right and top to bottom, so the word balloons need to follow this logic too. If the first word balloon you want the reader to read is in the bottom right corner of a panel and the second word balloon is in the top left, then they'll read it backwards, which will be pretty confusing. Instead, remember that top left is first and bottom right is last. Number 7. Connecting the tail. You probably already know that the balloon tail needs to be pointed towards the character's mouth. It doesn't need to be touching the mouth or the character, but it needs to be clear that it is that particular character who is saying the words. The thing you should never do with balloon tails is cross the beams. Having one tail cross the other causes confusion, looks messy and is ugly. Whatever you do, try and avoid this. It's worth redrawing a panel entirely if it otherwise means the tails would cross. Number 6. Connecting balloons. You notice balloons like this? Do you know why this happens? Well, usually it means that there are multiple expressions within the same thought process. For example, if one character is talking to another and they say this, then these are 2 expressions within the same thought process. Word balloons that are connected with one of these bad boys are similar, but different. In this example, the character is expressing 2 different things one after the other. Another instance where this is used is when 2 characters are speaking to each other and the conversation is back and forth. Number 5. In panel or on panel. There are differing schools of thoughts on this one. Some prefer to keep the word balloons within the panel at all costs, whereas others are fine with the word balloons overlapping the panel. This is mostly down to personal choice, but it should always be a choice. If you find your word balloons are overlapping a panel by mistake, then try and find a creative solution to this. The reason being is that if this happens just once or twice in a book, then it can come across as amateurish and as if it were a mistake. But if it's pretty consistent, then it's a stylistic choice. Number 4. Tangents. If your panels are going to stay within the panel, then make sure there's breathing room between the balloon and the panel. You can fuse the balloon with the panel like this, which is fine, but make sure the borders aren't touching like this. Another thing to avoid is 2 word balloons touching each other's borders, which sounded dirtier than I meant it, like this. Overlapping is fine, but just avoid tangents, whatever the cost. Number 3. Squink. You may have noticed a word balloon tail with this star shape at the end of it. That's called a squink, and is used for when a character is off panel or behind a door or other object. It's used to show that something is obscuring their voice. Number 2. Effect balloons. It's not just the font that we can change to show a change in voice, but the word balloon too. We can erase parts of the border or make it more translucent to indicate that someone is whispering. If there is a lot of space within the word balloon, then that implies the character is talking quietly. On the opposite side, we can decrease the amount of space in the word balloon to show that a character is talking loudly, or even have the words break out of the word balloon to show that they're shouting. But it doesn't just stop at volume. If a character's voice is distorted because they're under physical distress, possession maybe, or perhaps they're a monster or alien of some kind, we can change the way the word balloon is drawn. By making the word balloon lose its form and becoming wavy and distorted, we're mirroring the way the character is speaking in a distorted manner. And number 1. Narrative balloons. Thought bubbles are becoming quite rare these days. They've been eclipsed by the rectangular narrative balloons. These are where you put your character's thoughts or to establish the scene. For the latter, they tend to live in the top left of the page because it's often the first thing we want our readers to read. And there are 8 things that will help kick your word balloons up a level. Remember that, above all else, you need to make things clear to your reader. If you have other questions about word balloons, then drop them in the comments below and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. Next week we're looking at comics for girls, so if you're a girl or you know a girl, you won't want to miss it. In the meantime, here's a video on how to make word balloons in Clip Studio Paint. I've been Brinkley, have fun drawing, and I'll see you next week.